Welcome to Business Talk, presented in collaboration with the University of Rio Grande and the Ohio State University South Centers, from the heart of southeastern Ohio at the University of Rio Grande TV studio. Our goals are simple: promote the University of Rio Grande and the Ohio State University South Centers, as well as advocate local small business and their support organizations. More importantly, promote southeastern Ohio as a wonderful place to live, explore, and learn. There are many different ways you can find us. The University of Rio Grande Cable Access Channel 17, live online at blogtalkradio.com, and on YouTube if you are unable to catch our show live. Introducing our co-hosts, Jason Winters, Mike Thompson, Patrick Dengel. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hey, welcome to our show. As you can see, Jason's doing some remote viewing with some of our guests that are coming up this year or this week or in the next couple of weeks. So we'll probably see Jason in a little bit. Today is going to be a really good show. We have a great lineup. First of all, at 1 o'clock, we're going to be hearing from Kim Bauer. Kim Bauer is the Executive Director of the Portsmouth and Scioto County Visitors Bureau, located in Portsmouth, Ohio, but she sort of represents all of Southern Ohio. Then at 2 o'clock, we have Body Talk with Mike Thompson and with Marlene Childers. She's the Director of the Health Care Services here at the University of Rio Grande, and they're going to be talking about something that is near and dear to many of our students and faculties, and that deals with depression. And you're saying, why that? And the fact is that we have only 4 weeks to go before the students undertake their finals, and it's sort of depressing that we won't be able to see the students for a few weeks after that. So Mike and Marlene are going to be talking about what to look for in the symptoms and what to look for when it comes to depression. And it's a very interesting topic. And then at 3 o'clock, we have Dr. Michelle Johnston. Dr. Johnston is the president of the University of Rio Grande at Rio Grande Community College. And she's and two students, Emily Thomas and Silas Pullen, will be talking about some of the things that are ongoing here at the University of Rio Grande, as well as pinpointing some areas that are really important to upcoming students and to current students. But at 1 o'clock, this particular show, it is a great pleasure for me to present and have as our featured speaker Kim Bauer. Kim has been the Executive Director of the Portsmouth and Scioto County Visitors Bureau for at least 8 years, and Kim comes with a lot of knowledge about what's available not only in Portsmouth, Ohio, but in Southern Ohio. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you.
Kim, tell us about yourself.
Born and raised in Southern Ohio, the Portsmouth, Wheelersburg area. One of those that always thought you could do everything, and I've tried that anywhere from pre-nursing classes to EMT to helped out with a lot of events, and then I was lucky enough to be accepted in an apprenticeship, so I was one of the first female IBEW lady member of IBEW 75 in Portsmouth. So construction electrician for about 25 years, but always still was very involved in local events in Southern Ohio. And this is a position that I actually waited 13 years to have the opportunity to interview, and was very lucky to be chosen as executive director, and that was about 8.5 years ago.
Oh, I think that's great. Yeah, but what you were trying to do is gain enough experience in all facets.
Exactly.
I would imagine that working with electricity in homes is a very shocking experience.
No, I never worked in homes. I was the construction. So I worked at USEC, or back when it was Goodyear. I worked at the powerhouses, so I was the more of the industrial electrician. So I was the one that some of these people, you see the hard hat and hanging in a Simon lift 130 feet in the air. running conduit.
I think that's fantastic. I know that the IBEW, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers,
Yes.
is a very good organization, very good union down at the university, or at the Portsmouth Scioto
Southern
County
Ohio.
area. And they have been very active, involved with different organizations that support the less fortunate.
A lot of the unions and organizations like that are very active in the community. They, like you said, they do help out a lot of the nonprofits, and so a lot of the smaller events they're very active. A lot of the events that they need temporary electric, they're very active. They'll help find generators, the large ones, like we do at Portsmouth River Days. A lot of things. Whenever they built the soundstage, it was a certain amount of electricity, and of course now with all of the lasers and all the things, it's like, so they're always very instrumental in helping get that extra generator that's needed, and they always help out in the community with a lot of nonprofits.
You know, they're a very good representative, as you have said. You know, Southern Ohio is sort of a large area, if you want to call it, but it's very rural, and I know it goes all the way from Gallipolis, all the way over to Adams County, all the way up to Chillicothe. So we have sort of a nice area pocketed with really good communities like Portsmouth.
Yes, our area, we had a friend of ours that was very active in boating, and he always referred to that area from Lawrence County down past Adams County as the Riviera of the Ohio.
Yes.
It's one of the very few areas on the Ohio River that you can actually beach your boat, and then a lot of times what we would do after a rain, we'd call it going head hunting, because you could actually, from the rain, you could go arrowhead hunting.
Huh.
But there, if you start, and I never really noticed that, a lot of things when you're in Southern Ohio, we take for granted.
Yeah, that's
you know,
true.
as far as,
That's
then we
true.
have guests that come in and they love to see our mountains.
Yeah.
And we laugh. It's like, but to them, when you're born and raised in Texas and or Oklahoma, it's flat. So when you come to Southern Ohio and you do see the Ohio River, and like I found out there, it's very rare that you see a place that you can beach your boat and sit there and either fish and sit with friends and watch the sunset. So you know, we're very active on the river. We have a lot of small events, but it brings in a lot of people from out of the area. That is a very you go from Adams County for the quilt barns. You can come to Southern Ohio for the murals in Shawnee Forest. You can go north to go to Pike and Ross County. Of course, more murals than you have Tecumseh. And then also you come this way, of course, you have the world famous Bob Evans Farms. And I have to admit, this is my first visit. And it's like, but whenever you're busy in tourism and you're taking care of everything at home,
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
a lot of times you don't get
Sure.
the opportunity to get out like this. So thank you so much for the invitation. That's why the minute you started saying, "Would you like to?" and I said yes.
Yeah, I noticed that there's a number of interesting things that you have seen and I have seen, and boy, wouldn't it be nice to be able to show just a collage of different things that we've experienced.
Exactly. In our area, we're very blessed, and a lot of people, they take everything for granted.
Yeah.
We have friends that we visit in West Palm Beach, Florida. And I asked him, it's like, well, when's the last time you've been to the beach? And she said, when was the last time you were here? So a lot of the things, it's like our flood wall murals, a lot of the community, they don't really come out of lot, but as soon as somebody comes to visit their family, you have to come down to see the murals.
I
So a lot
understand.
of things that we're just, like we said, we see them every day.
I know, and I'm going to share a personal story, Kim. When Shawnee State Forest started their lodge and their cabins, that was almost 42 years ago.
It's 1973.
1973. And Wanda and I, we were newly married, and we spent our honeymoon at this resort that had very, very few people because they had just opened it up
Yes.
2 or 3 months before. And so we like to think that we opened up Shawnee State Forest, their lodge system.
Well, a lot of cute stories about that is because with the manager I work with, they can always tell when it is somebody from local or if it's a visitor, because when you come in the lodge and the lobby, the second level, there's this very huge light fixture. It's a very large chandelier, but and people walk in, and as soon as they look up, they can tell that that is a local.
Yes.
Because the visitors come in, they're looking at the lodge, they're looking around, they're trying to find where's the desk, it's like, but they can always tell, and
Yep.
they've said they've never been there, and like we
Yes.
said, since 1973.
Well, I must say that every now and then Wanda and I treat ourselves to a really good meal out there. We found out in one of our visits that everything that is made in the lodge comes from parts of different
Yes.
Southern Ohio.
A lot of the furniture in the rooms. There was a gentleman out there that would take the trees that had fallen in the forest and actually make a lot of the beds, the chairs, the bentwood chairs. And like you said, it's a great place to come for Easter dinner, Thanksgiving dinner. What people don't realize, as far as a lot of times, especially if you have a very huge family, treat mom, take her out. It's like, and they'll actually serve over 900 meals for Thanksgiving. So I have friends that will drive in from Dayton to come to there for Thanksgiving.
Their food is some of the best.
Yes, it is.
And then right down the road we have the golf course, which is sitting right on the Ohio River.
Yes.
And on the Ohio River, if you turn left, if you want to call it that, and you go up river, there is Portsmouth, Ohio.
Yes.
And Portsmouth is sort of a unique place. It has a lot of individuals that have had a lot of notoriety. One of the first things that I learned is that the Detroit Lions had their start in Portsmouth.
They were the Portsmouth Spartans.
The Portsmouth Spartans. And at that time, they only had a few leagues.
Yes.
And they played their Super Bowl, if you want to call it that, with Green Bay.
And we beat them.
And we beat them.
Yes.
And it's my understanding that the sport was just sort of kicking off. Really, the colleges, had a lot of the football, but during the 32, 33, somewhere around there, when they unfortunately sold the franchise to Detroit, we could have been another Green Bay.
Yes, we could have. We could have been better than Green Bay.
Yes.
Because the Detroit Lions they really haven't done very well since they left Portsmouth. They've done okay.
It's because they don't have.
They should have stayed at Spartan Stadium in Portsmouth.
That's right. That's right. But we have also something unique down at the by the Ohio River, and that's what you were talking about is the murals.
The Portsmouth floodwall murals. The flood wall was actually built in 1943 after the devastating 1937 flood. And not only did it devastate Portsmouth, but it also decimated a lot of southern Ohio. So, and that would be up toward the Marietta and that area also. So a lot of it was underwater. So they did, and that was about the 8th or 9th devastating flood. The first community in southern Ohio in that area was called Alexandria. And it was west of the Scioto River. And after 7 or 8 times that the community flooded, they decided to move it to higher ground, which would have been the Portsmouth area. So after the 37 flood, they built the Portsmouth floodwall murals. And so in 1991, Dr. Louis Shabady and his wife Ava, who was a AAA tour guide, they were doing the Steubenville to see their murals. Now their murals are located on a number of the local businesses and buildings, and there's actually one on the front of Kroger's of Dean Martin, who is from the Steubenville area.
Oh, that's right.
So Dr. Shabady kept being drawn to that muralist, his work. So a lot of muralists have their own style and their own way of painting, and Dr. Shabady kept being drawn to this one. Once you start looking at murals, you can tell the work from different muralists. So he figured out who the muralist was, and when he came back from Steubenville, he actually got with some other business people and said that, we ought to think about doing this. The Portsmouth flood wall is 2,000 feet long with only 2 breaks in it where it's called for a gate, so that if the floodwater does come up, they slide large timbers down and then they sandbag it. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago with all of the rain, the snow and the rain, the water was touching the south side of the flood wall. We did not have to put the gates in, but the capability is there. So they looked at this blank canvas, and so they flew to Lafayette, Louisiana, and spoke with Mr. Dafford, and would he willing to come back up. So he flew up in a very snowy February day, about like what we had about a month ago, and stood behind the old Kenrick building at that point, and looked both ways and said yes to signing on to the life of the project. So on the Portsmouth floodwall murals, it's 2,000 feet of history and 2,000 years of history, 2,000 feet of art. And so, but it's by one continuous mural by one muralist.
And I know that I think they call them panes.
Panes. I call them cells.
Cells.
They call
How many cells? were there?
There continuously, there's around 48.
48.
And then up to right now, we're up to about 54, 55. Because they
And-
also go on the west side of the flood wall, which is right next to the Portsmouth Brewing Company on 2nd Street. And then there's 3 located on the Scioto County Welcome Center, which is at 342 2nd Street.
Well, you brought a couple pictures. I was wondering if we could show a couple of those pictures, if you don't mind, Kim.
Sure.
What picture is this? Now,
This is Chillicothe Street. Whenever Robert Dafford does his series of murals in a lot of the cities, he likes to show what would have been the high point of any community. This would have been Chillicothe Street, probably around late 30s, early 40s. As you can see, a lot of the businesses. You see the servicemen on the side there with walking up the street, and a lot of these buildings, 85 to 90% of these buildings are still located in downtown Chillicothe Street, and they do have viable businesses in them.
Yeah, but some of the names have been changed.
They've been
to put
slightly
that- yeah,
changed, yes.
Yeah. And if Jason were here, he'd say, "I remember this scene, wouldn't I?"
Oh.
And it's just a little bit before my time.
Yes, well, mine too.
But now on this particular one, this is commemorating the Civil War.
This is Battery L. This was the Portsmouth or Southern Ohio Regiment that fought at Gettysburg. And what Robert Dafford likes to do, if you'll notice the 5 gentlemen around, or 6 gentlemen around the cannon, if you're from Southern Ohio, Portsmouth, you'll recognize some of those faces. And what he does, he pulls from a lot of the family photos. And the descendants from Battery L, they still have a reenactment group that are together, and so the descendants brought some family photos and things, but what he did was then take the people that brought the photos in, and their faces are actually in, as far as these, the gentleman with the pack on his side and the binoculars is actually Chris Luth, there's like Chip Hard that owns Vandervoorts, and then the other 2 gentlemen there, a couple of them are from the Jordan gentleman from that family, and then John McClellan that has his hand up so he doesn't hear quite of the explosion of the cannon. He's a part of Battery L that actually lives next door in about a 115-year-old house next to the Welcome Center.
Huh. You know, one of the things that's really interesting also is you really have 5 pictures.
Yes.
And of course, we as human beings sort of focus in on. Actually, there's 9 pictures. We sort of focus in on just the color.
Robert has a habit of, whenever he does a mural, you'll notice, like you said, the four series around it. It shows the as far as the one on the, I guess that would be left side, as far as all of the crops and things that were being used on the Ohio River, even going to the effort for the war or being brought into Southern Ohio. The top of it is where you see that people are leaving to go to fight the war, and then the families on the side seeing if they have lost anybody at the war. The one at the bottom depicts what it would be like during the Underground Railroad as far as crossing the Ohio River to going north. And then the one on the right is a part of the Green Lawn Cemetery, which is Soldier Circle. And it also shows, at Green Lawn Cemetery, they not only have some of the grave sites of Union soldiers, but also quite a few of the Confederate soldiers also have their grave sites there. Then in the other corners, it shows monuments that are depicting, there's actually a burial site at Gettysburg dedicated to Battery L.
Wow. Wow, just the depth. You know, these pictures are so large. What's the size of this mural?
They're 20 feet. They're 20 feet tall, and on an average, they're anywhere from 40 to 60 feet wide, depending on how much detail and how large. We have one of them that is 3 panels and is 20 feet by 100 feet long. And
the thing is, you have to step back. Now, as a painter,
I
think it would be really difficult. I'm not an artist, but you know, to be that close and draw, but to see it, he's just a phenomenal artist.
They're painted to be viewed from the either sidewalk level or going west on Front Street. So people have a tendency to get very close, but it looks very, very blurred if you get up that close. And it is an art to be able to paint a face that you look at. It's very blurred, but when you back up and all of a sudden within about 20 feet, everything pulls into focus.
How about the next? This is my favorite.
This is a lot of people's favorite. This is the Portsmouth Motorcycle Club, which started in the early 1800s as a bicycle club, and then later on, as people actually started putting small motors on their bicycles, it morphed into the Portsmouth Motorcycle Club. So
we had a bicycle group.
Yes.
Now I can imagine going around with their bicycles and tricycles
with their leather jackets on.
Leather jackets.
Yeah. But this was what is very, very interesting on this. It's the only time that you'll ever see Robert Dafford painted into a mural. If you'll notice the hubcap, you'll see a reflection. He's in the lower hand, and he's taking
yeah.
what he
Yeah.
does is he'll take photos of things, and then that gives him something to go by.
Yeah.
As far as in the mural. So he actually painted himself into it. In the mirrored glasses in the center, you'll see a reflection of the Portsmouth Motorcycle Club. That is at the end of Front Street on the confluence of the Scioto and Ohio River. But it's nothing for a Saturday morning when I come down to the Welcome Center to open up the brochure area so the public can use the building, to see anywhere from 20 to 40 motorcycles lined up in front of that. And I'll take the time. I don't like seeing people that are taking a photo and someone's out of the picture.
Right.
So I would rather offer my time
Right.
and take pictures for everybody
Sure.
so that you're all in front of the mural.
Right.
But yes, like you said, this is one of the favorites.
Yes, and the thing that I really like is that is a real actual picture that he painted.
It's a picture of a picture.
A picture of a picture.
Yes.
Just fantastic. You brought one more, I think. And now, who is this guy again?
This is a gentleman named Leonard Sly.
Yep.
And his family moved from the Cincinnati area because at that point there were a lot of the steel mills and 5 to 7 shoe factories, and they lived in McDermott on a road called Duck Run.
Yep.
And after they moved back to Cincinnati, then on to California, he moved there and was helping out with friends, being extras in movies and things. And so he was sitting there during a break playing on a guitar, and somebody said, "Hey, you can sing." And you look pretty good. So all of a sudden they started putting him as in background of movies, and later on morphed, and that was Roy Rogers beginning as an actor.
Wow.
And even as when he was at the height, even when he was almost close to retirement, it was very, very, very weird when you walked in Bob Evans and there was Roy Rogers sitting there with Dell Evans eating breakfast, and that happened a number of times. So he would come back to visit his family who stayed here. So yes, and that is another one of the favorite murals. And they do have the Roy Rogers Festival, which is the first Wednesday through Saturday of August.
Huh, very good, very good. Well, those murals are just fantastic, and you really have to be there, and you have to be willing to spend some time. It's not a matter of see one, see next, when you really study them.
Yeah, I continually study because I continually keep seeing different things in it. And when Robert comes in, I ask him questions and things. And of course, just being able to, you should learn at least 10 things every day.
Sure.
And I'm always learning new things about these murals. And you can get on the internet and someone asks you a question. And so I just had my first bus tour this past Friday. And it usually takes on a bus, if I do a step on, it takes about 50 to 55 minutes, depending on how many questions we get. Yeah. And then if you walk it, we try to take about the same time. But there's some benches, so it's 2,000 feet.
Yeah, it's
so. But Friday when they came in, between some of the chuck holes and the time frame, so he asked me if I could shorten it to 30 minutes, and it was like the Reader's Digest abridged version of the tour. So I pulled it off in 35 minutes, but. And the people that, a few questions and things, but normally it's like we try to take about 55 minutes.
It's something to see. And you have a welcome center.
Yes, we do.
It's on 342 2nd Street.
Yes. And it is open 7 days a week. The chamber, there's quite a few offices that are housed at the Welcome Center. So we have Portsmouth Main Streets, we have the Portsmouth Area Chamber of Commerce, my office, the Visitors Bureau, and then in the south end of the building we have a brochure, I call it canteen area, where we have brochures, restrooms, pop machines, candy machines. So if you happen to come down on a weekend, you can get in the south end of the building for the brochures or the restrooms. So and it is open. That part's open 7 days a week.
Okay. Kim, we only have a few minutes, so I'm going to touch upon a couple other things that are coming up. You have a Cabela's King Cat Tournament. This
is the inaugural year. I was notified by a gentleman that yes, they have the King Cat Tournament, and they also have it. They're having it the week before. It's going to be April 25th. The week before will be here in Gallipolis, and then the week after will be in Marietta. So there'll be people fishing on the Ohio River for catfish. And it's very interesting with this because we're in working with Division of Wildlife. So when they catch some of these catfish, and Ohio River is known for, I could say huge, very large catfish that I've actually seen one that was almost 4.5 feet.
Wow.
They're enormous. But with Division of Wildlife, they're putting transponders on them. So they're doing a study of the migration of catfish in the Ohio River. So they've already tagged one from one of the previous years. They've tracked it going 45 miles west on the Ohio River. So it's coming up April 25th. You can get online, Cabela King Cat, and come to
Great.
Southern Ohio.
Great.
Fish.
You've seen the movie Old Grumpy Men?
No.
Grumpy Old Men?
No.
Where they try to catch this one catfish that...
Should I see that before the tournament?
It's a funny movie
Okay.
in which they're always trying to catch this one humongous catfish.
I'll have to watch that before
Yeah.
the tournament then.
Let's see, Mother's Day. You
Mother's
have-
Day weekend, we have the tour. This will be the 54th annual tour of the Scioto River Valley. It's one of the largest century rides, as they call that. It's 100 miles riding bicycle from Southern Ohio down 104, State Route 104. They stay all night in
From
Portsmouth.
Columbus?
From Columbus, they stay overnight and then go back the next day. So brings an influx of about 5,000 or 6,000 people in town. So we have a large get-together in Tracy Park on Chillicothe and 10th Street. So we have Mothman playing this year, the music.
Fantastic.
Yes, so,
oh, you mean the real Mothman? You know,
Well, he's
in
real.
Point Pleasant.
No.
We have right across the
This
river.
might be their cousins. No, these are the Mothmen that play music.
Oh,
so,
okay. All right.
But we have the tour of the Scioto River Valley, and then we have after that we have the Wendy's Rock and Roll House Party. That is in May this year, and this year they secured Peter Cetera, that used to be the head singer of Chicago.
Huh, very
and
good.
yes, and
Very
then
good.
we lean on into our summer, which is anywhere from local concerts to the Scioto County Fair of Portsmouth River Days, which has Sawyer Brown coming, leads into the Sorghum Festival in October, and anything in between 4th of July and any festivals.
Sorghum
Festival.
Sargum Festival.
Yes. Sorghum is a sweetener that grows, it almost looks like a corn stalk. They mash it, get the juices out, boil it down, so it almost looks like a lighter and thinner molasses.
Huh. Oh,
It's
that's
an old-time
interesting.
sweetener from the pioneers.
And that probably comes from, he was a professor. What is
John Simon.
John Simon.
Yes, this is
That's probably-
about the 32nd annual Sorghum
Yeah.
Festival.
You know, a very good Appalachian
Yes.
historian.
Yes. So for free details, any of the calendar of the event, you can either go on my website, which is OhioRiverTourism.org, or you can log on to the Portsmouth Area Chamber of Commerce website, and they also have a calendar of events. Or you can call me at 740-353
740
353
353
1116.
1116.
And I would be more than happy to mail you
Okay.
any information that you'd like.
But you have a really good website, OhioRiverTourism.org.
Yes.
Just one word, Ohio River Tourism.
Yes.
Kim, we only have about 1.5 minutes, et cetera. I know that you have upcoming concerts at the Rife Center for Performing Arts at Shawnee State University.
Yes.
We don't have time to go into much detail, but you've had some really exciting programs there.
We're very proud of the Vern, as I refer to it. The Vern Rife Center for Performing Arts is a George Eisenhower designed theater that seats about 1,200 people. The acoustics are phenomenal.
Yes.
Not only we've had Kathleen Battle, we've had Broadway series comes in, and it's one of those that you can hear them. A lot of times they're not really mic'd that loud, but also that if you happen to say something in the audience, they can hear you.
Yes.
So it's a wonderful facility. We've had, like I said, anywhere from Kathleen Battle, Three Dog Night. The list goes on. So
You know who my favorite was? The Ohio State University marching band.
of course, with David Pettit.
Yes, they
Yes.
came in.
Yes, they come in. They
and-
come in every year.
Yes.
So you can get on SOPPA.org, which is their calendar of events, or you can get on Shawnee State University website, and you can pull up the calendar of events of everything at the Vern.
Kim, you're going to have to come back because I think we've only touched just the tip of all the different things that Scioto County, Portsmouth, Ohio, Southern Ohio has to offer.
A lot of people, they tend to migrate to the larger cities, but as I say, tourism is alive and well in Southern Ohio. We're considered more South Central, as I consider. This is Eastern. There's a lot of things in your own backyard you can do.
That's
I say
true.
first off, you just have to leave your house.
Yeah,
And
that is true.
you know, at the Gallia County Visitors Bureau, they have information like
Yes.
this. We all have our own visitor guides. We have actually Gallia County's visitor guides at the at the Scioto County Welcome Center.
Yep.
They have ours at their Welcome Center. If you can go to Gallia County Visitors Bureau and grab our visitor guide if you'd like, so we can always get information to you.
Kim, thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
I'm talking with Kim Bauer. I'm Patrick. And you're Kim.
I'm Kim.